As much as we all compete, when you come together, whether it's the board, the executive committee, anything that has to do with our industry as a whole, it's amazing to me that these people can, put their egos aside and put that competition aside and do what's right for the organization.
The first meeting my father took me to was in June of 1970. And that was the first dinner meeting I went to. And I remember being scared to death. I was the youngest guy in the room. I really didn't get into a great deal of involvement until 1979 when I went on their board. I'd been involved in 78, but basically when I got on the board, I started to take the involvement and see what it could do for our company and what our company could do for the flooring and the construction industry.
Music bed.
Every human being, whether you live in Virginia or not, you need 5 basic necessities: water, food, education, health, and shelter. And to me, Home Builders Association of Richmond provides that 5th necessity, which is shelter. Their main objective is to make sure that there's affordable housing for Virginians that want to live in this area. And I think they do a good job of doing that by focusing on the different areas near and around the capital city to ensure that there's right price new construction homes for folks coming straight out of college or for seasoned more professionals, or even folks that are looking to retire and enjoy the rest of their life. So they're in the shelter business, and I think they have a niche market because they're one of the few associations in the area that focus on shelter for Virginians, and they do a great job of it.
HBAR's purpose is to serve, of course, our members. So those are builders and all aspects that go into the residential construction industry. But it really serves anyone who owns or lives in a house renting. I mean, that goes for a single family home to a townhome to the people renting in a multifamily home. It's about making home ownership affordable, and that American dream of having your own space to make your own in whatever form or fashion achievable.
If you make a living in this industry, in the construction industry, in the real estate industry in Richmond, Virginia, and you're not a member of HBAR, you're doing a huge disservice, to your own profession. And I almost feel that you have like a moral imperative to be a part of HBAR. Through the things that we do, whether that's advocacy, legislative efforts, just being a voice for the industry, there's no other organization that is going to support your business the way that HBAR does.
It's the only association that is working and fighting every day to protect the career that we've decided to pursue. There's no one else that is talking to elected officials, county staff, suppliers, vendors. There's no other organization or association that is purely dedicated to benefiting our industry. And so I think everyone has a responsibility to become active, to be involved. If this is something that you truly love to do, then HBAR is something that is a mandatory thing that everybody in our industry should be involved in.
In the home building industry, you deal a great deal with local government, zoning cases, public relations with the community. So as a group, we've got more ability to go to local officials and talk to them about our needs, and also things to keep local government from impeding the ability of our industry to provide homes that the market wants. We don't want to build homes that, from our standpoint, we want to build. We want to build what the market wants. And sometimes local governments don't understand that, don't know what the market is, or they're not thinking forward to the market. Based on a study that Governor McAuliffe did in 2015, we provide over $28 billion of revenue to the Commonwealth and create over 350,000 jobs. And that's currently our industry. If you compare our industry today to where it was in 2003 and 2004, statewide, we're only building about half the homes that we built then. So we've got an industry that's at 50% capacity, creating over 350,000 jobs and creating $28.1 billion of revenue to the state, which is the sixth largest industry in the state. If we could get back to full capacity, we would be the third largest industry in the state.
They are just as impactful as any large business that the local government is trying to recruit here. And they're right in our backyard, and they're already patroning our community, and they're building it at the same time. They're creating jobs, they're creating beautiful communities, either from scratch or revitalizing the ones that need that new, fresh life to them. And there's no other industry in Richmond that does that.
Look, the Home Builders Association is an important piece to the construction industry. And that's where I think most people miss the boat. We have to gather as a group, as a construction industry, to improve our industry. Whether it's we're talking about employees who we can't find today, or whether we're talking about legislative issues that we're doing a great job in trying to direct our politicians to understand our industry. It's about the entire construction of a home. And we all have to remember that the ultimate person is the customer, who is the homeowner. And we all have to strive to make that homeowner happy. And if we can make the homeowner happy, then we're going to make our politicians listen more and more to us every day.
The core of what we do is really, helping protect our industry.
One of the things that we had was something called the YBAC that we started back in the early 80s, and that was Young Builders and Associates Council. Now that morphed into the Associates Council. However, the YBAC stayed on until most of the members were over 40, and so it kind of disbanded. And we didn't have any youth back then, so the youth under 40 was just not there. And I don't still think today we get it that an associate is an important piece of our association from a standpoint of we need to bring youth in. Not that we don't understand that associates are important, but we need to bring the youth of associates in. And I think that that's a key element in making sure that the association thrives.
To build these professional relationships that then become personal relationships, that wouldn't be possible without the involvement of HBAR and truly an organization that brings people together and puts you in a room with people that otherwise you may never know, especially in today's world where you're just sitting behind a computer and you're like, oh, this is what you look like? Joe Smith, nice to meet you. I'm Shane Burnett, the guy that's emailed you 30 times about these quotes. So when you get there to these events, whether it's the golf outing, the Builder Bash, the President's Dinner, any of those events, and you see the same people again and again who are just as active and just as involved, you just naturally build an affinity for these people and start to build a relationship. And some of my best friends are through people that I've met at HBAR.
what you put in, you get out. And HBAR has a lot of opportunities.
So one of the things that we don't promote, because it's a very, selfless endeavor. We don't necessarily need attention for it. It's not something that we're doing, just to have great PR in the community. But one of the things that I'm most proud of being a part of HBAR is the work we do with the Ash Childhood Cancer Foundation.
The industry was in recovery from the recession, and we've got just really generous members. And so HBAR wanted to find a way to try to give back to the community. So Tim and Craig asked me to reach out to Ask Childhood Cancer Foundation. And so I set up a meeting with Amy Godkin, the director, and HBAR made Ask its charity partner. And that's been a really great relationship. The HBAR members have, it's always amazes me how generous our members consistently answer the bell to provide not only financial assistance but physical goods and services to help children in our community that are very sick.
Those partnerships epitomize the spirit of HBAR. It's not just about building homes, it's about building the community.
I think this is an exciting time in the Home Building Association of Richmond. We have a dynamic board of directors and a very talented executive committee.
I really do see a wonderful situation for HBAR. And the reason it is because we have so many young people that are taking interest in our association. I mean, look at them, John Waters and Shane Burnett. I don't know how old they are, but I consider them to just be young bucks. And that's what we have to have. We don't need the Ralph Costin Juniors of the world. I think the fact that we have such a young group that are out there, and I believe their heart's in the right place. I've yet to talk to one of these young men that their heart is not there to make it a better association. You make a better association, they as builders are better, our associates are better.
You're seeing different faces being involved in the home building community, and that's anywhere from a framer to a carpenter, a plumber, or even the land acquisition guys and gals. So that's changing, and I think that's pretty amazing. So I think we have to do a better job preaching skills and trades and not necessarily formal education at a college or university, because there's clearly a shortage in labor locally that could help this economic driver inside of home building remain a great industry to work in.
So as we continue to build more homes, who's going to build them? The leadership's got to look at that so we can find ways to get people in some VOTEC schools and learn the carpentry skills, learn to be an HVAC technician, learn to be an electrician, want to own your own electrical company, want to build your own HVAC company. So there are a lot of challenges, and these aren't really new challenges, but as the leadership in the association, and they're already looking at some of these things. Finding the solutions is tougher. They're identifying the issues, and I think we've got a great young group of leaders and a great mix on our board of associates, builder members, old and new board members. So we're poised very well for the future. And when we hit the bumpy roads, whenever they come again, I think our leadership will be ready for it.
Of course, any change is challenging, but the nature of associations, the nature of belonging and gathering on a national level is dying. You'll hear that from leaders in the world of chambers of commerce and associations. But what HBAR leaders are doing is in fact disruptive in this kind of industry because they're thinking in different ways and trying different methods to deliver value, and that is what will make HBAR succeed and is already proving to make it succeed.
You'll make connections that will, help you later in life. When I was trying to decide if I was going to sell my business to my partner or stay as a partner of Perkins & Holmes, I consulted 3 people that are, former members of HBAR. One of the guys that I spoke to was Lloyd Poe, who used to own Lifestyle Builders and used to own Craftmaster Homes. And we had lunch, again, open door, like I talked about before. These guys are more than willing to meet with you. And it was the advice of those people who I would have never known, was it not for HBAR, that really helped me make what I think was a good decision.
Whether it was working with the community or working with builders or working side by side with associates, the Home Builders Association has always been fun and fellowship with family included. And I think when you have all those things in one group, and we understand how important they are, and for me now in my life today at 70, faith is another one that's very important to me. And so we take those things and we go with them thinking that we need to ensure that all 4 of those pieces are important, that we tie all that together to make the Home Builders Association work. And I think if I could end on one note, that would be the note I'd like to end on, that we need to make all 4 of those come together and work to make our community a better community. And through Home Builders, we'll do that.